Hello and welcome to Bitsbox World, Builds Made Easy. Hello, it's Tom, and I've been building up some Warhammer The Old Worlds models. Love that these guys are back, and these here are the Shadow Warriors that come with the High Elf army set, but they reminded me of a model that I painted way back when I first started getting into Warhammer. So this guy here is the High Elf Ranger that came out in 1995. 1995, ages and ages ago. And this is what really got me into Warhammer back in the day. What a great paint job I did on that guy for Warhammer Quest, if you remember that game. Lovely game. This is Tyrion. He's from the High Elf armies from 6th edition, I believe. So 2002. And you can see my painting has got a little bit better over the years. And I was talking to a friend about my old classic models, and he decided to give me some of his Lizardmen army from 5th edition, I believe. So this guy is a skink on a horned one, and you can see the paint job that he did way back when. So that's 5th edition for the Lizardmen. So that's 1997, I think. And some Saurus Warriors as well. These guys are classic. They all came in a very similar pose. So it's a 4-piece model for back in the day. But I like some of the simplicity of the old models. But let's see if we can restore these. So I've got a trusty jar, and I'm going to try to see if I can strip the paint off. So I've got isopropanol alcohol. This is 99.9%. And this is like disinfecting or wiping alcohol. So this really is going to be the beginner's guide for removing paint from your miniatures, as I learn along the way as well. Using the isopropanol, I'm just going to pour that into a jar, and I've never done this before. There are many methods that people have told me over the years. So you can use like paint thinners or paint strippers, and there are some products that you can get from retailers like Green Stuff World, for an example. But I wanted to go for as cheap as I could, so I bought this bottle from Amazon. It was £7 for 1 litre. Is that a good price? I felt like that was relatively good, and I can fill up my little jar here, which completely submerges the models inside. And with these, this is like 20-year-old paint on these models, so will it come off? That's going to be the real test. There is a mixture there of metal models and plastic models, different types of paint, so 20-year-old Warhammer paint, and then even the guy that is from Quest, the High Elf Ranger, I varnished him. So will that be able to be removed, or is it going to be too strong for the isopropanol? I don't know. First time doing it. So I'm going to leave it in to start off with for about 20 minutes. Why don't you let me know in the comments below if you've done any model stripping, and I'm talking about your miniatures. And what did you use? Did you get any success? Let me know in the comments below, and why not subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel. I love making the content for you, and it's just all a bit of fun and investigation a lot of the time into trying out new things to expand the hobby and keep things as cheap as possible. So this guy's been in for about 20 minutes, and to start off with, just giving it a bit of a rub, and I can see some movement on the paint there. But it's not fully coming off straight away. So I'm going to go at it with a toothbrush. And this is just a medium or soft toothbrush, so I don't break apart any of that model. And there is some movement. Some of the paint is coming off, but it's quite tough. What about the plastic model then? Let's give that guy a bit of a brush. And again, there's some movement on the paint, and this is after 20 minutes in the isopropanol. You can see that it's starting to come off that model, which is really, really great. But I think I'm going to have to give it a bit more time, a bit of a greater dunk in there. I'm scrubbing quite hard and not much is coming off, so having a bit of doubt here. Don't know. It is moving though. Shield's looking a bit brighter. What do you think? And now for the one that I really wanted to test. Not only is he a metal model that's painted in traditional Warhammer paints back from 1995, he's also been varnished. And I'm really having a good go at scrubbing that. So after a good old scrub and after 20 minutes in the isopropanol, I can see that it is starting to work, but it's not to the standards that I would like. So I'm going to dunk them back in, give them a bit more time, and take this up to an hour in the isopropanol and see if that makes any difference at all. It is working though, which is really great to see. So now they've been in for about an hour in the isopropanol alcohol, and is this going to make any difference to the removal of the paint on these miniatures? So starting off with this skink on a horns one, the paint on this guy is really, really tough. I don't know what my friend used to paint it back in the day, but it's really taking a lot of scrubbing to get anything off. And I felt the model actually was going a bit slimy, which showed that the isopropanol was having an effect on the paint, but it wasn't coming off as much as I scrubbed it, which was very annoying. Scrub. And I wanted to just show you the length of time, the effort it took. So this is after an hour of sitting in that alcohol and not much coming off at all. Really quite annoying. What about the plastic models then? Coming back to this Saurus warrior, who he looks a little bit like he's been in Face Off. Does anyone remember that movie back in the day? Was it Nicolas Cage? Can't remember. But yeah, so the paint started to come off this one really, really well. I found by dipping the toothbrush back into the jar, into the isopropanol, just to get a bit more of that liquid, then the paint, yeah, started to remove relatively quickly. And I did also, as you can see, they started to fall apart. So 20 years these guys have been stuck together, and the plastic glue has failed it. But that doesn't matter because I'm restoring the models anyway. Really nice to be able to see back to the grey plastic though, so I'll be able to paint these guys in a new way, and when I do, I'll share that on the channel and you can let me know if it was worth it. The only reason though that I thought that I'd give this a go was I've got a few traditional classic old models that I painted when I was, I don't know, 11 years old, like this guy here, and I just thought I want to try and do a better job on this. Warhammer Quest was the original miniatures game that got me into this hobby, so I want to do this guy some justice and try and paint him in a better way. The base came off as well, but after some scrubbing, so this guy's been in the isopropanol for about an hour, and you can see that he's gone all the way back to his metal self. There's a few spots of paint and remnants of some super glue, but it's really worked out far better than this skink on a horns one. I don't know what my friend painted this in, but I'm going to dunk it back into the isopropanol and give it a bit more time in there. And I'm actually now going to leave this overnight and see what happens overnight. These models have now been in the isopropanol for about 18 hours. You can see that the isopropanol's gone a bit discoloured. It's starting to go a yellowish colour. And on investigation of the models, they look okay. So this is the plastic guy that I was scrubbing earlier. There seems to be no damage to the actual plastic model. So that's a really good bonus, a really good high, that you can seemingly leave them in the isopropanol for a good length of time. What I noticed though was it is helping a little bit with getting the paint off the model, but that could be because I had scrubbed it previously, but it isn't dramatically helping. So maybe any time between 40 minutes and overnight is a good length of time, and it doesn't really matter how long it sits in there, just anything over 40 minutes maybe. So he's really come back to his plastic coating. There are some spots in the deep crevices, and if you really wanted to, you could use a tool or a toothpick just to pick out those bits of paint in those deep crevices. And what I noticed with this guy that's really been troubling me, he's gone really slimy with the paint, but as I scraped it with my nail, it just unlocked the removal of the paint. So there's a key tip that I've discovered. Maybe if you've got some paint that is just really not wanting to move, go at it with a toothpick or a moulding tool or something like that, just to take the top edge off it, and then it just allows the rest of the paint to start sliding off. So once I discovered that, it really made the paint come off this model so quickly. And just using a bit of the isopropanol, dipping the toothbrush into it, and then scrubbing away at those areas, and you can really see the impact of that for cleaning these guys up. So this is the High Elf Ranger from Warhammer Quest. He's looking nice and great. This is the horned one. I did break it apart because I want to fully restore it. So I'm going to take off some of that super glue and try and make things fit nicely. There are still some flecks of paint within the crevices, but I'd say it depends how much you care about that. And I don't really care, because I'm just glad that it's got back to this. It took me a long time to just get back to the metal on this model, as you've seen. And he is quite a rare model, this horned one with the skink rider. So I'm very much looking forward to creating something special for that model. So stick around till the end and you can see what I did to make him a bit more of a centerpiece in my Lizard Man army. The plastic models came out a lot better than those metal models with the deep crevices, but there is also, again, still some flecks of blue. And I've noticed how poorly my friends actually clean these models up before putting them together. There's still bits of flash all over the plastic, so I'm going to have to do a bit of work there. But you can see I've got a whole bunch now that I've taken right back, and even this salamander, is it a salamander? I also found that in the packet that my friend gave me, and same as the horned one, there are some flecks in those crevices which I could go at if I want to, but I've got another model that I'm super excited to clean up and give it a good go, and that is Tyrion. Look at him coming out He's also going a bit slimy as well. I feel it in the gloves, and the paint is going, yeah, just that little bit slimy. But will he clean up? That is the question. So let's give this guy a go. It really is quite messy though, just to point that out. So when you're giving these guys a brush, you do get flicks of paint everywhere. So I put down some paper towel, but here he is. He fell apart a bit with the super glue, but again, I wanted to make this guy fit in nicely together because I didn't really care about how I put it together back in the day, but now I do care. And I'm going to take off some of that old super glue, make him fit nicely, and then also expand on his base, give him a better, more dynamic base, hopefully. So after a lot of hard work, I've finally got my model ready to be primed and painted again. And I've given him a more dynamic pose on this giant rock that's made out of dense, what is it, dense styrofoam, I guess. And he's looking really cool, really happy with that, and looking forward to giving it a paint. And I'll bring a video of that soon when I paint some more of my high elves. And then the skink on the horned one, I've given him a bit of a temple ruin that he can stand on as well. So a bit more of a focal point, center point in my lizard man army. And this was my first try at removing paint from my miniatures. And the key things that I've learned: leave your miniatures in the isopropanol for about 45 minutes to anything up to 24 hours. You can leave them in overnight. There isn't much difference with the removal of the paint. If you've got metal models, they might go a bit slimy, and you might want to scrape sort of the first layer off to really allow for that paint to be removed. Wear gloves, and it does get messy, but these guys are looking really great. Why don't you think about liking and subscribing this video, and I'll see you again for another video soon.